Hi, I'm Lisa Leiter. In Chicago Business Today, delaying O'Hare's expansion. United and American Airlines want to push off the 2014 date for completing the runways at O'Hare, while the industry is still recovering from the recession. This would be a huge setback for Mayor Daley, who has long seen O'Hare as Chicago's economic engine. The $8 billion cost of the ambitious project has never been an easy sell for the airlines that will pay most of the bill through higher landing fees. Senior reporter John Pletz wrote the story in this week's print edition of Crain's, and he joined me to talk more about it. So John, great scoop this week. The expansion of O'Hare has really been talked about as one of Mayor Daley's big legacy projects. What is the city saying? Do you think that they'll be willing to move the timetable that's been set for construction of these next two runways?
Well, for the moment, the city is maintaining, that it wants to push ahead as planned. Certainly the 2014 date isn't going to happen. Lawsuits alone on some of the first phase construction are going to prevent that. But they aren't talking about slowing construction at all. In fact, they're pushing ahead. They're going to sell $1 billion in bonds after the first of the year. So they're not talking about slowing things down just yet.
What's the major issue here for the airlines? Are they questioning whether there's a need for these two additional runways? After all, this was all stemming from delays earlier in the decade. What are they saying? Do you think that they want the runways at all, or they just don't want them right now?
It's a question of timing. The city wants to push ahead, continue to expand O'Hare for the growth that they hope will come. For the airlines, it's a question about not whether or not they want runways, it's when they've got to start paying for them, and that's really the issue.
And they'll be paying for them with these higher landing fees, right?
Right. You're right. The airlines pick up about 65% of the tab, so eventually, once you build it, they're going to have to pay for it. And what the airlines see is, given the big drop we saw in traffic during the recession, that they may not need the runways just yet.
We should say the first phase of this project is done, right? The first two runways are operational.
It's nearing completion. So yeah, you've got several runways coming online. That's going to add some additional capacity.
United just finishing a big merger here. I mean, is that part of what's at issue here too?
Sure. They've got new management from Continental, which tends to be a little bit more cost-conscious maybe than the predecessors. But also, you've got an issue of, the merger is closed, and now they've got to come up with, close to $1 billion in savings over the next several years. And so they're looking at all their expenses very closely.
So what's the next step then for the city and the airlines? Are they going to try and come to some type of compromise here?
Well, we're told that they'll be meeting sometime after the first of the year. They'll try and sit down and get together on a deal to fund the completion of the O'Hare expansion. And really what the airlines are looking for is maybe to tie that construction a little more closely to increases in traffic over time and less to a date on a calendar.
Sure. It seems like, one of the major things here is the fact that the city's looking at this on a very long-term time horizon, whereas the airlines have some major cost issues to deal with in the short term, right?
Right. They just have different perspectives, I mean, the city's building a long-term piece of infrastructure, and for the airlines, it's just one of many costs and many things they have to juggle as they run in their business.
Absolutely. All right, John. Well, great story. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
And that's this edition of Chicago Business Today. For more on this story, please be sure to check out this week's print edition of Crain's and chicagobusiness.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.